David here, TechNewOld, and I'm looking at the Pixel 9a and the 8a. 9a's just come out, 8a's been out, what, a year? I figured most people are looking at the Pixel 9a probably already have the 8a, and I'm sort of wondering whether it's worth upgrading that. That was certainly the position which I was in. Obviously, there's going to be people new to the entry-level Google Pixel phones, and they're probably thinking, you know, do I splash out 500 quid, which is the asking price currently on the 9A, I think about $500, $499. So, or possibly getting a cheaper 8A, which has been out at least a year. I bought mine secondhand for about £300. Probably, well, you know, they're still around that price, 250 to 300, so does seem good value. And remember, Google is offering 7 years of upgrade support for each of these phones, so the Pixel 8a is still a valid proposition for that reason alone. You're going to get a lot of upgrades. It's going to be a valid phone for some time. Let's take a closer look. So first, let's take a quick detailed look at the two phones, which is not how I'm presenting my video. That's done more from a simple user experience without all the detailed comparison. The screens. The Pixel 9a comes in at slightly bigger at 6.3 inches versus 6.1 for the 8a, so no major difference. But the 9a is about 35% brighter at 2700 nits versus 2000. Both have Gorilla Glass 3. Processors, the 9a gets the new G4 whilst the 8a has the G3. That means the 9a is slightly faster in Geekbench tests. Both come with 8 GB of internal RAM. That is not upgradable. Storage options, basically the same, standard 128 GB with the option to choose 256 GB. There is no SD card compatibility. I would go for the 256 GB, you know, given all the photos and videos we are now taking. The camera processor is actually slightly larger on the 8A, which has 64 megapixels versus 48 on the 9A. So despite the 9A on the whole performing slightly better, some shots on the 8A are said to have a better density. And all said, the 8A is still a very good camera. They had to change the camera setup on the 9A given the change. They wanted to have a flush shape. Front cameras for selfies are the same, both at 13 megapixels. Battery, here you will see a bigger difference with the 8A coming in at 4,492 milliamps, whilst the 9A has a class leading for the Pixel range of 5,100. Also in wired charging, the 9A has 23 watts, which is not great, but it's better than the 8A at only 18 watts. Wireless charging is the same for both at a low 7.5 watts. Waterproof, 9A has IP68 and the 8A is IP67. Let's get a feel now for both of the phones. So here are the phones side by side, the 8A, the 9A. The 9A is ever so slightly bigger. Again, you want the measurements, you can look them up, or there's plenty of videos out there giving all the precise details. The 8A has this camera design which sticks out, which is really popular with people, and it doesn't really make much difference. It doesn't wobble on a table. I personally prefer the flush design which they've brought in on the 9A, and who knows, they might bring in subsequently in other phones going forward. I prefer that, and the reason being is when you put a case on, and I have a really nice case for the 8A. It's the Caseology Capella Kickstand case, really like it. When I put it in, because of the camera design, actually it makes the case and the whole feel that more thicker, chunky. For the 9A, I bought the Nat Bock case from Amazon. It was really cheap, less than £5. But I really like it. Simple, does the job, has some texture changes, which things I like. Anyway, Caseology case, which I love again. I love the fact that there's a change in texture here to help you with the grip, and it's got the kickstand, so really useful for different watching circumstances. It is just chunkier, and where that's a problem, the problem is when I'm in my car, I need to put it in the cradle, that chunkiness can make things a little bit harder. With the cases, the 8A is about 20 grams heavier than the 9A. Now that could just be case design. When you compare them side by side, they are roughly the same. The 8A is 4 grams heavier. So the 9A has a bigger battery, and I'm only charging this up to 80%, which is, a way to preserve the battery long term, because I think I've got every intention of keeping this for many years. Oh look, that didn't work out. That was I'm not happy with that. That was a little Nat Bock protector. I guess because I keep taking my case off and I've just knocked it. Okay, hopefully that's okay. So the Pixel 9A is not the thinnest of phones, and that's because it's got that bigger battery. And early use experience, the 9A is lasting longer, as you'd expect, than the 8A, and I'm only charging this up to 80%. So maybe the fact that the processor is more powerful, it's working less hard to do the same sort of similar functionality as the 8A. Don't get me wrong, the 8A is fine. I mean, I got a good 12 hours heavy usage, playing games. So I wasn't too disappointed. Major difference, and really should be considered. Again, I don't have the details of the charging numbers, but this is super slow. This is not fast, but the 9A is better than the 8A. So you got 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you want to get some charge in, you're going to get more on this than the 8A. And that was one aspect of this phone I didn't like. Now, again, side by side, the 9A looks a bit better, I think feels better, it's a little bit faster, the battery lasts longer, but it's a brand new phone and it's going to cost you a few £100 more. The 8A came out May 2024 in the UK, probably the same in the United States and the rest of the world. You have got 7 years of Google support, upgrades, so this is going to last, and it's probably going to cost you between £250, £300 brand new now, compared to $500 for the 9A. This price will come down, and obviously there'll be those in the second-hand market, over the next 2, 3, 6 months, so prices will be more interesting. But if you need to buy now, 8A is still worth considering. It's not going to be obsolete for a long time, but if you're on contract, Google is offering, clearly through partnership, some great deals for the 9A. That's how I got mine. 9A was through an upgrade. I normally buy my phone outright, secondhand, but this time I got a brand new phone because the terms were good. This one's been traded in. I got a good price, so I'm happy. So there you go. I hope this has been helpful. I'm happy with my upgrade. It just works better for me. It feels better. It ticked some of the boxes. Slightly better battery, which I felt it needed. I prefer the design. Slightly brighter screen, a little bit faster, but apart from that, this I have been using this 8A. It's a good phone. It does everything, and what's fabulous is they both have Google AI, which is just so easy to use, and it's sort of semi-integrated into the phone itself, so you can get it to do things. Please add a reminder that I need to brush my teeth tomorrow, please.
I've added a reminder to brush your teeth for tomorrow.
Could you please remind me to eat my breakfast tomorrow morning?
Okay, I've set a reminder to eat breakfast tomorrow morning.
Could you please add a note in Google Keep that I need to call my mum?
Okay, I've added a note to Google Keep.
So there you go, a little quick example. Both can do that. I haven't experienced the normal 9, the flagship, the 9 Pro or anything like that. I guess the 10s are coming, they're around the corner. But both are great phones. I hope this may help you in your decision. So one thing I didn't mention were the speakers, both the stereo, they sound great if you want to listen to things through the actual phone speakers, no problem at all. Interestingly, I recently was listening to some Queen music on my 9A, and then I put the same song on my an Apple 14 Plus, and it did sound better on the Apple 14 Plus. Just the way it is, whatever was coming out was better. I mean, not hugely, but I think if you're an audiophile, you would prefer the Apple. I'm not saying the 9A or the 8A are bad, far from it. They're great and much better than some of my old phones like the Apple 8 Plus, and I got an Apple 5 SE somewhere which I can't find, my backup phone. Oh, here it is. Yeah, better than these things by far. Another gripe, and I don't know whether this is just these Android phones, but be careful when you take a call, make sure the volume is not on max, because you can really blow your ears out. I would have hoped that by default it wasn't on max, or there would be some sort of controlled, the sort of volumes which come out when you take a normal phone call. So I've had my ears blasted a couple of times. I've got to be careful. I'm sure it's not the phone's fault. Anyway, just worth bearing that in mind. So, a layman's description of both phones. I hope that's helped. I like both of them. I prefer the 9A. I'm glad I've upgraded, but this is a good phone, and Google is going to support it for some time to come. And if you like the design, if you like the pop-out camera part, then that's another good reason to get it, and it's going to be cheaper than the £500, $500 that this is currently going for. Again, there seems to be some decent deals if you upgrade it through your network provider, and they seem to be buying your 8A off you at a good price. But if you want your own contract, that's how you do it. Worth considering. If you want to move from a lower pixel, the 8A is worth considering. It's a good phone. I prefer this. Right? It just feels better. That's my preference. Okay, so hopefully been a useful video, and you're able to make your decision.